What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Kingdom RY podcast. This is episode 7. We are here with somebody that I share a name with and grew up at Trinity together, have known him and his family for a long time. Been really great to know him and learn more about him and his story. And so we know that you're going to get a lot out of this podcast. So make sure that you stick around and listen to it. So we're here today with Trent Warren. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us a little about what you do and
Yeah.
kind of go from there.
Yeah. So I grew up at Trinity, started in the womb, maybe make it to the tomb. We'll see. That's
see.
the that's
We're
the
all living
saying.
that out.
Mhm.
So my mom teaches here at the academy, and my dad has had a bunch of roles. Currently, he's the executive pastor here at Trinity, amongst whatever else he does. And yeah, I went to school here. I started working here in the production department. I started volunteering when I was 12 or 13. I don't know the exact age. I got hired on part-time when I was 15, going on 16. And then I kind of did a little time in communications as well. And then I left in 2017, went to do my own thing, started my own company. And then really right around COVID time, Trinity was needing some video people. And it was like right before COVID. So it was truly like an orchestrated thing by God, because all of my business, I traveled for a living, essentially doing missions, like filming for missions and with different companies and things like that. And it shut down completely. I had no work, but because I had come on back here full time, I had work. And so obviously COVID in the church world was a lot of video work and a lot of things like that. So I was here for then. And then my company has picked back up on the last couple years. And so it's always been like an understanding of like doing both. And there's definitely mutual benefits on both sides that, we've played to. And so, yeah, that's what I do now. I run my company, and I'm also here kind of overseeing the production and film side of things for the whole ministry.
Yeah, we know that you are an invaluable asset here at Trinity. I mean, pretty much anything that happens in the production side, like you're in charge of.
I'm trying to make that not the case.
Yeah.
And it has become more and more true. I mean, I don't have to be at nearly as many things as I used to be, which has been my goal. Like, I want to work myself out of a job. And I think that's a good just leadership trait
It
in
is,
general.
sure.
But that's been my goal. I think during COVID, and we were honestly much smaller than we are now as a team. We were kind of 2.5 during COVID times, and now we're, almost, or probably double that. I don't know exactly. I'd have to look, but yeah. So that has helped the amount of manpower, but also just, hey, let's work through these things, figure this out. One of the guys here, he worked part-time during COVID. He was the coffee shop manager.
Yeah.
And, obviously we didn't need a coffee shop during COVID. So he was like, they didn't want to let him go. And I think that was really good on Trinity's part. And, so he started doing part-time production work. He ended up, he loved it. He ended up leaving for another full-time gig, at a coffee and donut shop. And he's like, man, I want to come back. So he's back. And so it's just cool to see like the, ground up. And now he's running events on his own. Like this past weekend, there was a bunch of outreach events. I wasn't there. I unfortunately had other plans that, it was a funeral, but I wasn't there. I didn't do any of the advanced work. I don't even know how it went or what happened. And that's been good. Like before, it would have been not the case. So that's all good. So
People don't realize how big the production is here.
and time and
the
how much.
time.
I mean, there's events 7 days a week.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday, I mean, we had 2 outreach events that we supported. There was 3 that happened. 2 outreach that we supported. A wedding that was here all day, amongst other things. So, I mean, a graveside burial, all the things. So
always some
7 days a week, it doesn't stop. So
that's for sure. Now, take us back to when you were growing up. I know you said you started at a real young age getting involved in the production ministry, and it's something that you enjoy doing. Like growing up, was that something that was always, you were drawn to?
Yeah. So probably I was 12 or 13, right when, for anybody who knows Trinity, the theater opened here. I was like, oh, there's a lot of cool tech things in here.
Yeah.
So I got involved there, and then I started helping out in what we would call big church.
Yeah.
And doing audio things, like helping out doing chapels. And people just kind of took a risk on me, probably because they had nobody else to do it, which was fine.
You're a willing person.
I was willing. I was a willing person. And I'd always like been interested in technology to some degree, or trying to figure things out. I have like a really like strong leaning towards like engineering. So like if I'd always said if I had went to college and school, I was going to be like a mechanical engineer. That kind of stuff always has intrigued me. And I went to lunch on Saturday after the funeral with a buddy who's a mechanical engineer. And I just love listening and talking to
Yeah,
him.
just
It's
geeking
just
out. Yeah.
like those kinds of things interest me. And I think that this is like a small form of that. Sometimes we open up consoles or whatever and we get to
Sure.
like mess around with different circuit
Yeah.
boards and things like and so
Mhm.
I enjoy that kind of side, but I've always had an inkling towards that, so that was, and then someone took a risk on me and I was like, "Okay, let's do it,"
Yeah.
so, uh, yeah, and then 2018 is when I officially started my company and, went for it. I was like, "I'm going for it."
And you'd have been how old then?
18,
2018? Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was born in '99, but I in the beginning of 18,
Yeah.
so,
Mhm.
I was 18 at the time, so.
Did you start your company after you graduated high school, or
Yep.
was it, like, around
So,
the same
so
time?
I had started doing the work in high school. Like
Yeah.
my
Mhm.
senior year, I went on a couple video shoots to Texas, and I was like, "Oh, I can make a living out of
From
this."
this.
And so I did it for about 6 months. I was not a company, just kind of myself, and then I
Mhm.
started that in February of 2018. So
Mhm.
just that means we're 8 years old now. There was some times when it was not doing much, which is
Sure. Sure.
but picked it back up, and it's
Yeah.
doing busy,
Yeah.
so all the
Mhm.
things and, it's bigger than just me now, so that's
Right.
helpful as well.
Yeah. Well, I feel
Exactly.
like it's almost as is any business. I mean, like, even for me, like, with lawn care, it's like you can let that get as busy as you want it to be
Mhm.
type thing. So it's like even for you, like, you could, market that however many people you want. You could
Yeah.
I mean, when I know we were talking before, you could be doing a lot more stuff potentially, but
Yeah.
you've chosen to kinda keep that balance
Yeah,
too.
and we're structuring ourselves in a way that's super scalable, so that's been my goal right now,
Mhm.
and we're bringing on new team members, bringing one on in the next week. He kinda knows it, he kinda doesn't, but he's in on it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so we're trying to grow really scalable where, clients need something, we can do it. I'm,
Mhm.
there's never been a moment where a client has asked for something, I'm like, "There's no way we can do it." And
Mhm.
so
Sure.
we've really set up our team to be able to do that. And, I mean, I was just talking with them this morning, and it's like they're handling projects now. I'm not like overseeing. So my goal has really
Right.
always been here, company is to get out of day to day. Management, whatever. Now there are certain things that are my babies and I'm gonna keep my hand on and press
Sure.
forward and quality control, things like that. Yeah. So that's kind of the current state of where we are and how we got there.
Yeah. Mhm. What would you say is like the biggest bottleneck or maybe even mindset breakthrough that maybe you struggle with at first, or something that was harder at first of your company that you've had to kind of learn and adjust to break through?
Yeah, I've probably figured this out in the last 6 months more than anything. And it's obviously I haven't figured it out, but I'm still learning it. But
Mhm.
it's that I'm the bottleneck. If I'm having to manage all the projects we have going, I mean, I could open our project management software and show you a ton of stuff and, tracking hours and all. Guess what? I'm
Mhm.
going to be that bottleneck because I'm interacting with clients. And that is not my specialty. I do not like to live in the weeds. I like to
Sure,
build a
right.
system and a process and hand it off. And even here at Trinity as well, the less I'm involved with on day to day, the
Mhm.
more actually people get done. If they're waiting
Sure.
on me for information, well, I'm chasing 10 rabbit trails of information.
Yeah.
So I may not be focused on the one that they need or get it to them in the time that they want. And so that's probably been the hardest one because I'm going to say this and you guys know how I mean it. It's not a
Mhm.
self glorifying thing. It's like I have a really high standard.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
and when work falls below that, I get
Mhm.
really frustrated, whether I did it or not.
Right.
It's got my name somehow
Exactly.
on
Yeah,
it. And
yeah.
so, that's not saying that people that work for me are doing
Terrible
below
work.
standard
Yeah,
work. It's just
yeah.
that I have a very, very high standard.
Sure. Mhm.
And there's somebody that we were talking, he's like, "Are you letting like progress stop because you're chasing perfection versus getting it done?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am. I'll admit it." And so that's
Yeah.
been a struggle of like, how do you make things perfect versus how do you get them done?
Mhm.
If I could get it done in 2 weeks at 90% quality versus 2 months at 100%, well, it's going to be a lot more efficient. It's going to be cheaper for clients.
Yeah. Right.
Those kinds of things to get to 90%. And that's not to say we're not chasing 100, but you know,
Sure.
it may not be exactly what I had in mind. But if people are happy, that's at the end of the day what matters. So
Yeah. Yeah, and kinda on the theme of the podcast, like, you can have so much bigger of an impact when you can learn to scale beyond just yourself and hand some things off. Like that's kind of the whole idea. And the reason we started this is we know that me and Wesley can have kingdom impact on our own, but how much more of an impact can you have if you can raise up an entire group of people with the same mission, same vision, that
Yeah.
are like, we're going to go do this together. And so the same thing with a business, with a company, like if you're the bottleneck and everything's got to be done on your own, you're going to limit yourself in scalability.
Yeah.
And you may have perfect work, but you're going to limit what you can do.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Yeah. No, it's been interesting because I've actually learned about people or things. The guy, he's in the next room over, a perfect example. He handled all the events this weekend. He has a strong suit of detail where he sent me diagrams and was like, "Hey, here's what we're gonna do." And I'm like, so he was able to hand those to people and go, "Hey, here's how you set it up." So he's not like always being, and I'm like, if had I not like leaned on him to handle that event and those, reaching out, that may not have been done. It may have been all in my head. Well, that's not scalable. And, I've always tried to live by the rule with everybody. And sometimes they get annoyed because it's like they're doing things in advance. Is
Mhm.
if you were on the way to an event and you got in a car crash, how does the event still happen? And
Mhm.
advancing that, getting documents out ahead of time, setting yourself up for scale. It's not my strong suit. I can build the process, but like on an individual event basis, it's not my strong suit.
Mhm.
And so how does that event keep on going? And there are certain events that I, like, really dive into, especially on the client side, and even, like, this weekend that we're recording this, it's Easter, so, like, those are, like,
Mhm.
you know, how can I effectively handle those things because they are very public facing, and if I've learned that if I put my energy towards the bigger items, the whole system gets better because we're actually, the whole system is moving together,
Yeah.
um, and I'm not as, like, I can put more energy and effort into that than an outreach event this past weekend or, you know, this small shoot that we're doing for so,
Yeah.
social media or something.
Sure.
And that's not to say that's a bad thing, but it
Mhm.
also doesn't need the attention or need
Exactly.
X, Y, or Z. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I think you're the perfect example of what we're, talking about on this podcast, of you're able to use the resources, the gifts, and the abilities that God has given you and really leverage that to have kingdom impact because most of the companies you work with, right, are in the missions or ministry
yeah,
space?
so it's probably 50-50. So we
Okay.
sub out to a lot of for-profit entities, which is fun because we do, you know, first of all, there's money to be made there.
Yeah.
Let's be
Yep.
honest. If you're not making money as a company, you're not going to exist
Yeah.
for very long.
Yep.
It's
Right.
just the truth. And so we do some of those, and I enjoy those because they're a lot of times really cool. And then
Mhm.
we have some nonprofit companies that we do work for. Like a lot of them are based in California, or some of them are based in California, some of them are based here. And even I kind of don't see the difference in my two jobs. The lines are really blurred in my head because every client of mine, and this is something that we're talking with a client right now that we're trying to like revamp some things. And I see every client and here as a partner. I don't see them as a client. And so like if I'm doing work for you, I'm on your team. That's what I want to be. And that here at Trinity, it's like I'm on the team. And so getting to do things at the rescue mission downtown, that's my bread and butter. Like people have asked me a couple times, like, hey, I've had opportunities to go to every major church in the city of Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I won't name any names, but
Mhm. Mhm.
as well as churches across the country, some big numbers have been thrown around. But
Sure.
I come back to it's like, where else? I know these places exist, but like to the level in which I think we're doing it, and also to to the level of which I love, and obviously this is like Trinity's been my family.
Mhm.
It's like where
Mhm.
else are you getting 7 days a week ministry?
Yeah.
And I know those places do exist. I'm not saying they don't, but like the Trinity Rescue Mission downtown, it's like
Yep.
this. That is, if you've ever never been there, I mean, it's a heartbreaking place, and it's
Oh,
cool to
yeah.
be a part of. The academy, I think, had a lot of impact on my life. The church, obviously. So, and I get a really cool opportunities. Just before you guys were in Africa, we were in Africa doing a film
Mhm.
project. Those opportunities wouldn't exist. I've been to Africa a few times for Trinity, for not Trinity, for client stuff, and it's a great place. And you start talking to people, and you're like, wait. I was in Brazil one time filming. Some guy goes, "Hey, do you know Drew Messer?" And I was like, "Yeah, how?" He goes, "We went to." I think this is true. It may have been Michael, but he was like, "We went to Tennessee Temple together."
Yeah.
Or we knew each other somehow
Uh,
from that,
mhm.
and so then he knew Trinity because of that, and
Networks are crazy,
oh, I
dude.
have
Yeah.
just learned everywhere I go, I'm not even kidding. everywhere I go, somehow, some way, someone is correlated with Trinity,
Oh, yeah.
knows about them, has a
Yeah.
connection. And very few, I mean, there are other ones, but very few places have that kingdom reach of just think about what the
Sure.
college is, how many people they've sent
Yes.
out that are
Oh, yeah.
making an impact
Mhm.
across the entire world. I mean, it's
Oh, yeah.
mind-boggling. We did a big conference back in February, and there was a guy that spoke at the conference. He pastors a ginormous church, and he went to the college here. And so we started talking. He's like, "Hey, do you know this person?" I was like, "Yeah." He knew my dad, and
Mm.
he told a story in a sermon. And I cut it up and sent it to Pastor Tom and Gary, and he was talking about how he went down to the Trinity Rescue Mission and had served, and how he had sent someone. So he had partnered with someone there, and someone went through the rescue mission. Well, that guy started helping out the college, kind of like overseeing a dorm room. I'm probably butchering this story, but he oversaw the dorm room. Well, that guy ended up leaving just like because he was older, and
Mm.
he started a prison ministry. And that guy, my understanding, he still goes to the church today. I've never met him, but he started prison ministry all over the country. He's seen over 10,000 salvations in the
Wow.
prison ministry.
That's
And if you think about, like, that was one invite or one
mhm.
tenant at the Trinity Rescue Mission for one night, turned into
Yeah.
the that one person alone has said 10,000. Who knows the multiplication efforts outside of that?
There's no
And
telling.
you can't get better than that. So just
Yeah.
to be a small part of that is just a really like big privilege that I do not take for granted. So
That's crazy. Hmm. Well, I'm curious to ask you this question. Your family is obviously a great family. They've been around Trinity for years. How have they been a good support for you just in developing you and to where you are now? How
yeah,
has that played a role?
yeah. So my grandfather was the high school principal for 40 something years. Funny story, he gave my dad his last spanking he ever received. He wasn't dating my
Dude.
mom, but he was in high
Mhm.
school, and he had
Wow.
been to the office out back when you could spank in
Yeah,
school.
yeah.
And so he's been here. My grandma taught here for, I could probably say 50 years. I know it's probably not that many, but it was
Yeah.
like a long
Mhm.
time. Um, my other grandma, she worked at the church office as she was Pastor Tom's secretary for, that was like 10 years, but prior to that, she was here for like 25, 30 years.
Mhm. Mhm.
She was here a very long time. My dad has been here forever, and he's moved amongst the ranks. My mom has taught almost 40 years. Uh, my brother was here on staff. Now he's on staff in Palm Coast. My other brother goes here. My sister's in school at Trinity. So it's just one of those things. It's like the longevity that you see in ministry. First of all, I've learned, I think Trinity's probably a good example recently of like longevity can happen with quality of ministry.
Mhm.
It doesn't have to be old and dying. It doesn't have to be full of this, that, and the other. But also for me, I've seen like the positive impact that staying in a place can have. You truly have family here. I
Mhm.
met my wife through here. I didn't like meet her necessarily here, but because of relationships I had here, it's so hard. I talk to so many people that are at bigger, smaller, whatever churches, and sometimes they just can't find community. It's like that is important. I think hearing a sermon is very important too, and obviously I
Sure.
play a role in that, a very small role. But it's like at the end of the day, it's like community matters. And,
Right.
I can call somebody. I've always heard, who are your 2 a.m. friends that are gonna,
Mhm.
and it's like,
Mhm.
if I were to think about who my 2 a.m. friends are, they're family or they're people from Trinity. So that's important. I think even just whether you work at a church or you're a business owner, like you need that community because first of all, there's many relationships that you can form, but also it's like there are many times I don't know what I'm doing. And it's like,
Mhm.
hey, I've got this issue that I'm facing with my business.
Yeah.
Well, I've got people I can call up who are previous business owners who own businesses, things like that. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I can get community, I can get help,
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's been one of the most amazing things about Trinity is the mentorship and the network of people that are affiliated with Trinity or
Oh
somehow
yeah.
connected. Like you anything you need. Like
Yeah.
you talk to one person, they'll point you to another person
Yeah.
and like within
Yeah.
an hour you're
Oh,
having
yeah.
your question
And
answered.
my goal is to even make that stronger. I've had conversations in the last 2 weeks actually of trying to create a Trinity business network,
There you go.
that's not, like, owned by Trinity per se, but, like, and it's all
Right.
hypothetical here, but,
Sure.
just it's a true, like, people especially people who graduate from the academy, it's like you have, like,
Yeah.
a brotherhood. You have
Mhm.
this thing in common, and you know what,
Sure.
and so how can we expound upon that? Because if I had an option to choose this vendor or that vendor to do a project for my company,
Mhm.
I'm gonna choose the one that I have relationship with and a camaraderie with.
Sure.
And so just even developing those kinds of things, I think are super important.
I'm curious about this too. I always think about this in the sense of media, and obviously it's very important in today's time. Um, but how would you, not necessarily a pitch, but how would you like tell somebody the impact that you've seen from like good quality media for how that's changed organizations, not necessarily to maybe pat yourself on the back, but like to basically talk about the important need that you have seen it fill.
Yeah, so without getting into any, like, specifics on clients, I think everyone has access to content nowadays, and if you think about the content that stands out from, like, a Netflix perspective, everyone can see good quality at the same time, but if you don't have good I can make you a phenomenal video, or our team can make a phenomenal video. But if the content inside of that's not good, it's not gonna, move the needle. You may get some traction because if it was a cool video or
Sure.
whatever, but it's really not moving the needle. And so I think quality matters because everyone has access to content and anyone can film with their phone. And so how do you stand out from a phone video? Because every video you scroll can look the same. And then the second thing is, what missional value can you add? Um, this specifically for, like the nonprofit side of clients, but like what
Yeah.
missional value can you add or show that's going to bring people closer to you, or turn people away? That is the other side that
Mhm.
you don't want to do. And I think poor quality can turn people away. I think media is a good front door for a lot of things. When you captivate somebody and they're in the system,
Yeah.
they may not, need. But
Right.
if it's a front door, you need to put your best foot forward because they
Sure.
want to know, how professional are you?
Yep.
How is this? Like, what is the vibe? And, if
Right.
we're trying to, this is a weird thing in a church world, so it's mainly for client side, but if you're
Sure.
trying to attract the best and brightest, you can't be putting out subpar work and
Sure.
subpar documents and
Yeah.
subpar, videos and then expect to get like the best
Yeah. Yeah.
of your clients, of your constituents, whatever you may be. And so we've really honed in on that. Graphics is a big one. People have access to Canva now,
Mhm.
and I don't think that's a bad thing because things can happen really fast.
Yeah. Mhm.
But we've really honed in on how can we level up. We've got a graphic designer on staff for my company, and she's phenomenal. I mean, she is absolutely phenomenal.
Mhm.
So we've really trying to hone in like, hey, I promise, don't just make it in Canva. Like, let us. And
Yeah.
they and a lot of our clients trust us. Some of our clients don't use graphics, which is fine. Um, but it's like we're taking it to the next level, and that's been our goal. It's
Sure.
like making that a friendly and, if you walk into a CVS, I think this is probably a good example, and things are kind of dirty and it
Yeah.
looks like, oh, I could have built this or I could have done that. Well, you're not
Mhm.
going to be impressed. If you walk into
Yeah.
see, I've walked into some and like, especially around
Yeah.
like the nice parts of Orlando and
Yes.
things like
Yeah.
that. You're like, oh, this is a great store. It looks really nice. It's clean.
Mhm.
Grass. Hey,
Right.
if their grass isn't cut and their weeds are overgrown, guess what? I'm gonna be like, what is going
Yes.
on?
Yeah. Right.
But
It's just the west side of Jacksonville at that point.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, I think that presentation matters, and
Yeah.
presentation nowadays is all
It
first and
is.
foremost online. Your
Yeah.
website, whatever it may be, that is their first front door and their first opinion. So they're gonna form an
Mhm.
opinion before they ever step
Exactly.
through your door.
It's interesting. We've had conversations, and it seems like even a lot of people, when they're trying to choose a church to go to, usually the first place they look is they Google it
Yeah.
and they look it up, and so they want to see like what is the church about. They want to look at it. What is their branding? What is the type of content they put out?
Google reviews,
Google
yeah,
reviews,
all
yes,
the
all
things.
that's massive. Like you don't think about, and especially in today's interconnected world through social media
Mhm.
online,
Yeah.
you could be having a reach that's global without
Yeah.
even realizing it.
Yeah.
People from around the world can see your stuff, and that could be the first time they hear the name Trinity or whatever
Or
organization
Jesus,
or
and
yeah, it really
that's
could
a
be.
burden to bear
Yes.
that
Yeah. Right.
you could be introducing somebody to Jesus and you've never met him or
Yes.
never seen him.
Right.
That is a burden to bear.
Oh, yeah.
And, yeah, so it's definitely a daunting and but a rewarding
It
thing.
is. Yeah. And how have you seen that interconnectedness of, doing your business and ministry together and seeing it all as having kingdom impact?
Yeah, so I'll be really transparent. During COVID, when things shut down, Trinity had hardly any video equipment. Like, they had the stuff to do a live broadcast, but to, like, produce videos, it was non-existent.
Mm.
But I had it all
Mhm.
because I had been running a company for over 2 years at that point, and so we were able to intertwine things, and I cannot even begin to tell you how much reach I mean, you could probably go and track the
Yeah,
metrics,
there's
but
no
during
telling.
COVID times,
Yeah.
we weren't tracking the metrics nearly like we do now. The reach was crazy. I
Insane.
mean, people were longing for community, they were longing
Yeah.
for content, and not just, like, trash content. They were at home, and they were lonely, and they needed help, and they needed encouragement, and,
Mhm.
we became an avenue of places to find that, and there's a ton of places to find that, but, good quality help. I think it mattered. And even we did a broadcast. We've done a couple of different broadcasts for a couple of different clients, and this is a little weird, but from over the country, like we had people over here, we had team members
Mhm.
and like staff in one country, and we were connect the world. And I
Yeah.
think in multiple
Mm.
languages. And I think that people hearing that and seeing that connectivity, it's like, okay, this is, even just someone who works at a company, it's like, this is a bigger thing than me. And I think people
Mhm.
seeing that and realizing that has been important as well.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like COVID really set that off. Like, before that, a lot of the stuff wasn't even really talked about, and then we realized, wow, how much media actually matters, and then especially now with how technology is improving and, I'm sure we'll get into this later, AI and all that. It's crazy how quickly and rapidly things are changing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard to keep up with sometimes. It's a
It
good thing,
is.
but it is
Right.
hard to keep up with.
Mhm.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool because it's like what you do is an art. I mean, it really is. There's so much emotion and stuff
And
like that.
subjectiveness, that's the
There
other
is a lot
hard
of
part is there's a lot of
subjectiveness.
subjectiveness, so people have
Yes.
opinions, and,
Mhm.
Right.
trying to wade through those, that's fun, but, it can be,
Yeah,
frustrating at times.
Yeah.
for sure.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah,
awesome. Well, we know you're a recent dad.
I am.
How has that
She's
uh
15 months old, or she'll be 15 months old here in a week from today.
It's awesome. Wow.
Uh, man, it's changed my life in a good way.
yeah.
I would have 5 kids tomorrow if I could, and, my wife would
Wow.
hate me for saying that, but now
Yeah.
we've been very fortunate. She's
Yeah.
she's perfect, and,
Mhm.
I'm not just saying that. I probably am just saying that, but, um, yeah, I don't travel near as much as I used to.
Yeah.
That was the first thing, and it's like,
Mm,
I left, but I feel bad for my wife, but Sadie was born, and a week and a half later, I was on the road, and for, like, 5 nights, and then I came home for a week, I was on the road again for 5 nights, and we had people kinda come stay with her and stuff, but there was stuff that was pre-scheduled, pre-planned I couldn't get out of, and
Yeah.
there are still those things, but if I don't have to travel or if I can send someone else on the team, I'm doing it, and there are certain trips that I just can't or, I need to be on kinda
Mhm.
thing, but I never make them longer than they have to be, I wanna get home.
mhm.
Sadie's got this new thing where every night she snuggles up to me and she
Mm.
just wants to let me hug her before she goes to bed, and it's phenomenal. But,
Mhm.
it's really actually given me a new perspective on work.
Mhm.
Before I was the grinder. I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going hard. I'm gonna,
Right.
you know, work 90 hours a week and, make money and get
Right.
everything done. Well,
Be the
I
provider,
I
all
do
this
not
stuff.
care anymore.
Yeah.
Uh I could work 20 hours a week. I don't, but I could work
You're
20
right.
hours a week. I do not care. There's one thing that I have realized that I care about. Like, if I lose a client, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna miss the money or this, that, and the
Mhm.
other. But guess what? That is not where my, hopes and
Focus.
dreams are. Like,
Yeah.
obviously, Christ first is, and then family second. I am
Yeah.
so like,
Right.
it has changed my entire outlook. It's like, you could tell me that I'm a terrible person and that I have never done good work. And guess what? I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna walk through those doors and
Mhm.
she's gonna run up to me. I'm gonna cry. She's gonna run up to me and just like hug me, and she does not care.
Yeah.
So it's just giving me a fresh outlook. And honestly, my eyes are swelling, but honestly, it has changed everything for the better. And it's just been weird. Like, I don't care to stay late at the office anymore to get
Yeah.
stuff done. And,
Right.
there are times that you have to do what you have to do. And I think everybody gets that and understands that. But it's like, it's
Mhm.
not a common thing. I want to be home. And not
Sure.
that I didn't want to be home before. I'm not saying I didn't want
Yeah,
to be home
yeah,
with my
yeah.
wife.
Right.
But it's just different. It changes your outlook
Right.
Mhm.
on things. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
I've really tried to like implement. I think this is important too. Like strategic moments in my day
Sure.
that I am getting more done. I actually think I'm way more effective now
Kinda like
because I'm
deep work
exactly. It's
periods,
like
yeah.
Mm,
I'm scheduling out how I work on things and
Yeah.
when I work on things.
right.
And I really think that's important to be able to actually. I feel like sometimes I'm more productive than I used to
Oh,
be.
yeah.
Um, maybe not on the amount I got done, but on what I got done.
Sure.
Mhm.
So that it has forced me into that, and I think that's important. I was listening to a podcast today, and Tim Tebow was on it. Y'all probably heard it. He was talking about the importance of rest,
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
and how rest is very biblical,
Mhm.
but so is run.
Yeah.
And it was if you haven't heard it, I think it was on what's the guy
George
George?
Jenko.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
on his
Yeah.
podcast, and he
Mhm.
was just talking about how like at the end of your life, you don't want to be like, hey, I
Was well
rested a
rested.
ton, but
Well
I
rested,
I
don't
I
ex
ran and I did what I needed to do,
Yeah.
and I think that applies to all of life and not just the things that you are. I I think there's an ROI, kingdom ROI in everything you do.
Mm.
just, there's certain, you know, nonprofit and for-profit clients, I think just run
Yeah.
and build the team to run, but
Mhm.
also remember who comes first. It's not your clients, it's your
Yeah.
family, it's Christ. And as long as you keep those principles in balance, and that's what having a kid, my time commitments, things like that have changed. And it's forced
Right.
me at work to be like, hey, when I'm at work, I'm at work. When
Yeah.
I'm at home, I'm at home. Now, when she goes to bed, doesn't mean I don't open my
Sure.
laptop, things like that. But it's like, I have a 2-3 hour window every night. It's
Yeah.
like, I want to be there in that moment, which
Mhm.
means I have to structure my day
Yes.
pre and post
Mhm.
Right.
around that. And so that has really helped and forced me. Um, and I'm not perfect at it because there are
Sure.
times that, I get a call or whatever, and I got to do something. I got to do what I got
Sure.
to do.
Yeah.
So, um, but yeah, that's been my goal.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to see, we've heard it from so many people, like how as you begin to become more efficient and effective with your time, you can actually accomplish more by working less. And especially as you begin to delegate and hand things
Yeah,
off, become a
that's what
better
I'm about to
leader.
say. It's made me hone in on
Yes,
what do I need to do that nobody else can,
exactly.
and
Mhm.
what can I get rid of? And I
Yeah,
think that's a common principle. All this stuff I've learned from podcasts. I don't read, but I listen to a lot of podcasts,
Right.
mhm,
and it's like what can only I do versus what can someone else do to 80% effectiveness
sure.
even, and
Sure.
then how do we sharpen that from 80 to 90 to 90 to 100?
Right.
So
Yeah,
it's really the last year and a half I've really had to focus on that, and there are people that work for me that call me out on that, and I think
yeah,
that's important too.
yeah.
The relationship that I have with the people that work for me is they can call me out on that. There's one guy, he's in the next room over. I guarantee he's called me out on so many, like,
Yeah.
why do you care about this detail? I'm like, because
Yeah,
it's how I would do it, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
who cares? Let it
Right.
Mhm.
go.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. And there are some things I'm like, no, we have to stick to this. And they have also realized, like, oh, you care about that for a specific reason,
Sure.
and it's helped us speak. It helped prevent something or something crash and burn. It's like, oh, that's why you cared about
Mm.
that.
Yeah,
So there's give and take there. But I think that you know, if I was the only person who could do something, well, then why do I even have employees?
yeah.
Because it doesn't
Right.
Exactly.
matter.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hurt myself. I'm gonna only be able to take on so much work and things like
Mhm.
that. But being able to delegate and learn from them has been actually, and there are certain things they do better than I would
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
or had the time to be able to do. So I think that's important too.
Yeah, I was about to say a lot of things like when you're delegating and hiring people out, you got to really like be intentional about seeing their gifts too, because there are going to be things that they're probably going to do way better at than you are in certain areas. So,
People management,
Yeah.
right.
like dealing with volunteers
Yep.
or dealing with like vendors. That is not my strong suit. I'm gonna call you
Yeah.
up and go, "This is what I need. This is what I need to buy." I'm not gonna go, "Hey, man, how you doing?" It's just not
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
not who I
Sure.
am.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I'm a push forward. I'm on the run schedule.
Yeah.
I'm, if I'm on a dedicated schedule, I'm not gonna waste time on
Mhm.
the people, and the other
Right.
person may not even want that. But
Sure.
there are people who like, "Hey, let me sit down, talk
Yeah.
to you, get to know you."
Yeah.
And what I've had to realize, and this is actually something that one of them taught me, is that I can't care for every person. It's just not in my capacity, in most leaders' capacity.
Mm.
And I can care about the 4 people who then those people need to care for more people. And then so
Exactly.
it's a
Mm.
multiplication effort.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I can't nurture every single relationship with every single employee. I don't think that's healthy either because, sometimes you have to make a decision as a business owner
Sure.
that other people aren't going to like, or that you're going to have to let somebody go. And so if they're your friend, they're your best friend because you're friends with everyone in the office. Well, you can't, it's harder to make decisions like that
Yeah.
you need to
It
make.
is.
But if you can invest into time and energy and effort into, 4 people
key
or your,
people.
Right.
your leadership team,
Mhm.
it's only going to multiply from there. And
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people I walk onto a job site at places that we're doing a shoot for. I don't know people,
Right.
Mhm.
but they're getting paid by
Yeah.
me, and it's
Yeah.
like, okay, that's fine. I don't need
Yeah.
to. I just need
Right.
you to know, like, we're a team and we're in this together.
Mhm.
And as long as you're being nurtured by your team lead or whatever it may be,
It's all that
I feel
matters.
good. And
Yeah.
Mhm.
so yeah,
Yeah. How now, as you've seen the shift, your daughter being born and, you realignment of some goals and, what's important, how do you think would that have affected looking back the grind that you put in? Like if you're giving like a lot of audiences like younger, and if you're giving them advice, they're in their early 20s, how important would you say that
if you're
is?
in your early 20s, grind,
Yeah.
go,
Yeah.
do not stop. Like
Right.
I thought, man, I don't have time to do anything back
Yeah.
then. I definitely don't have time to do anything now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, just
You're
go
only
for
going
it.
to get
Yeah.
busier.
Yeah.
But also find a wife,
Yeah.
get married,
Yep.
have kids.
Mhm.
Like that is also a very biblical principle. And everyone's timing is going to be different. Like it doesn't,
right.
there's no like, hey, I mean, Jesus was single till he's 33 and then he never got married.
Yeah.
So my point is like, but it is a great thing. And, but if you don't have a girlfriend, or if you have a girlfriend, be like, hey, this is what I have to do. Because I think taking care of your family and setting them up for financial success is actually also biblical.
It is.
And it's an important principle to do. And so like, go for it. Work 80, 90 hours a week. Why? First of all, it's going to keep you out of trouble.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure. And
Idle hands.
I'm sure that it kept me out of a lot of trouble because I can't even count how many days I was up at 6 a.m. and I got home at 11 p.m. and I was doing it the next day. And guess what? Who knows where I would have been had I not been as a 19-year-old, living in the living and just going for it. But it kept me out of so much trouble, I'm sure. Don't lose your community inside of that. Make sure you stay involved in church. Don't be like, oh, I got to work all the time, so I can't go to church. No, it's like stay involved, keep your community. And when the Bible says, he who findeth a wife finds a good thing. I think that's a very important principle. It's like, that doesn't mean, I'm working all the time. I'm never going to, but that also doesn't mean, well, I'll wait for my wife to get around before I do anything and things like that. So, but I'd say grind it out, but be prepared to like, okay, never look just what you're doing at the moment. Like look at one step ahead. Like, okay, in 6 months to a year, where do I want to be? Do I want to be doing the exact same work that I'm doing right now? If not, how do I get there? I always thinking like that. Where do I want to be? And then if I were to take 10 steps to get there, what do I need to do? Well, then it gives me an actual tactical list to get to those things. And I can look back in a year and go, I did or I did not accomplish my goals. So that's been helpful.
Yeah. Well, I know we're kind of hitting on it with the fatherhood, getting married, but I feel like it's, if you're walking in the Lord's path of that and the Lord's will and doing it the right way, it's cool to see. Like, I feel like you always see this on podcasts or whatever, but it's like, what do they say? It's like when a guy, when he's at a funeral or at his wedding and at his wedding, he's wearing a black suit both times because he's pretty much dying to himself, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's like, it for me, I'm starting to see that. And you see it in marriage, obviously, getting married, it's a lot more selfless, but especially hearing it from your side, once you have a kid too, that's like the next step to where you're.
And I think that like, in a marriage, you're supposed to be dependent upon each other, but you still have your independencies. I mean, I was 23 when I got married. So like I've lived my life kind of independent for a few years. When you have a kid, they are dependent, and that is a wild thing to think about. And even I think that like a marriage can kind of resemble that. And there are times that like my wife can't do something, so I have to pick it up and do things for her. And the vice versa is also true. But seeing that in a kid, that kid relationship, it's like, if no one changes their diaper, guess what? I have to, because no one else will. Like she can't do it herself. And so seeing that dependency is actually a really good thing for me. It's like, I have to. It doesn't matter if I do or don't want to change a diaper. Now, if my wife's around, I'm going to have her change the diaper.
Yeah, exactly.
But at the end,
Delegation.
it has to. If we don't, no one will. And so that sort of dependency, and like there are a lot of things I do not want to do that I have to do because I have a kid, and that's the choice that I made, and I am proud of that decision. I will hope to have another kid at some point. So it's like those, I'm going to do it again. Like, you know what I mean? So those are the things that I think about on the dependency side.
Yeah. And how did that shift? So like we were having a conversation with somebody a couple of days ago, actually, and it was hard for their wife to see that everything that they were doing, everything that they were working for, like working really hard hours, in his mind, he's thinking, I'm doing this for you. And he's not thinking selfishly about it at all. He's like, I'm doing everything I can to establish my household, get things in order so that way I can provide for you and my family. But the wife's like, you're not spending time with me. How was that tough? Because I know you were working a lot of hours.
It's funny. So it hasn't always been perfect. And we've had sit down conversations, and I've just told her, there have been certain like, hey, I'm going to this like season. February was a crazy busy month for us. This upcoming June is going to be another just absolute slammer, which is a good thing because it means X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. Right.
And, but I've just had to say like, hey, I'm going into a season. And I've always told her like, my ultimate goal is like, my wife, she does still work, and she works because she wants to.
Yeah.
But my ultimate goal has always been, I want to give you the option. And also I'm doing this for our family. I want financial freedom, because I do think that there would be a day that like the companies grow large enough that, guess what? I don't have to take a salary, but I can do things that I want to do.
Yeah.
I can, um, go do missions work if I wanted to do missions work. I can work on projects I want to work on. So I'm working towards financial freedom. It doesn't mean like I have a target number. It doesn't mean like, hey, I want to, make millions of dollars, which would all be nice and
Sure.
all things that we should strive towards. But my ultimate goal is financial freedom. And sometimes that has been misconstrued as I don't want to be home, or I don't want to be with them because I'm away for 4, in February, there was a time we were producing a conference out in California. I was gone for, I think, 7 days.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's tough. And I know that puts a strain on them. We had a team of like 6 people out there, and we were working hard, like trying to get this thing going. And it went off great.
Yeah.
And I came home and I was like, hey, you and I, or the 3 of us, I think we went to Disney for a few days. Like, okay, there has to be some sort of give and take. Like,
Right.
And it's put strain on things at times, but we've tried to be really good about having a sit down conversation going, hey, I promise. And now there is a point where it's like, I've done it for my ego. It's like, I had this big client.
Yeah,
I did this really cool shit.
Easy to say that, yeah.
And that's been a struggle, because that's not for my family. That's for me. When last September, great example, I was home like 6 days, and I was in and out a lot, just, but I was like in bed 6 nights kind of thing. And it was rough. And it was never a point of, and there were some last minute things. And so my wife understood. And, but there was never a point where it's like, oh man, I actually need more money this month to pay my bills and do this. It was like, oh, I get to go do this event. I get to go do this event for Chick-fil-A, for, those kind of, it's like, okay, I'm going to go do these really cool things.
Yeah.
And so that was a moment, I think afterwards, I think I took November or December. I don't remember. I said, I'm not traveling at all.
Yeah.
First of all, there's other things I need to get done. And there's been there's a balance of things of where I need to be. But I was like, this month is for our family, and we did different things and things like that. So, I think just having the open and honest conversation is important.
Well, communication, I mean, I'm a firm believer it probably solves 99% of problems,
100%.
future and past, whatever. If you just talk it out, I mean, that will help.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times like she misunderstood how I was feeling, and I misunderstood her frustration as she was feeling this way.
Yeah.
Or vice versa. And so we just like, oh, you're being mean to me, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, it's like, that was not my intention, or that was not her intention. And so let's just talk it out. And,
well, it's a funny concept in general with just marriage. 'Cause it's like, you always talk like guys are simple-minded. We get each other. Most of the time, you don't even have to talk about something, and potentially what could be the issue. But it's like with a girl, I mean, their mindset. I mean, it's like the book, "Men are like waffles, women are like spaghetti." Like we're just 2 different wired human beings. It's
well,
where you have to
add to that. We dated for 4 years. 3 of those years was long distance. She was at college, only an hour and a half away. So I would go see her on the weekends, or we'd go to Disney because it was kind of on the way, whatever. During the week, and this is not, don't hear what I'm not saying. I was single. I did not have to go, hey, can I go play golf? Hey, can I go hang out with so-and-so? Can I take this other job on? And so that was the first year of our marriage. That was a tension point for me, because I had another person that I was accountable to, and I should be accountable to her.
Yeah, sure.
And
you just weren't used to that.
Yeah, it's just something you're not used to, and you have to learn and grow. And so that was just a little bit like, I was dating someone, and I was kind of like, my schedule was free, I'll say, at the same time. And so that was something I had to learn to adjust to. So
makes sense.
Yeah. Was it ever hard to slow down, like in those times?
I can't slow down.
Yeah.
I actually listened to a podcast yesterday by one of the personalities from Dave Ramsey, and he was talking about like people who can't, like, if I'm doing something slow, and this has been a struggle, I've kind of gotten over this, like that 3-hour window with my daughter every night.
Yeah.
I would think, man, I could be doing way more productive items. And
that's exactly what I'm like, it's hard, so hard to slow down.
I can't. And, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Unless you, like, I've learned those 3 hours are important. But outside of that, it's like my wife, she could go sit on a beach and read a book.
Right.
Guess what?
Yeah. Not me.
Never in my life am I ever going to do that.
Yeah.
And like, we went to Hawaii 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago. And she just wanted to like, hey, let's enjoy the beach. And she's pregnant. It was kind of like a baby moon thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. And we went exploring. We took the car and like went exploring. I'm like, I cannot do it.
something.
If I'm not busy, I'm thinking, well, this project needs to get worked on. This project needs to get worked
It's
on.
like a
I'm not being
double-edged sword.
productive. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But that's just how I'm wired. And I think that certain people are wired that way and it's beneficial. I know people who are like, no, I can just shut my brain off.
Yeah, I
And I'm
can't do
going,
that, yeah.
good for you.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
so
Yeah.
it's some stuff is always running through my brain. And,
Right.
some people don't understand. That's also hard to explain. Like,
it is.
sometimes I get like, I'm thinking, okay, payroll is going to be X, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking through all those things.
Right.
And then, I'm getting internally frustrated. My wife says something to me and I get frustrated with her. And I'm like, okay, that was not about you.
Yeah.
For the last 30 minutes, I've been thinking about these issues I got to solve
Yeah.
and things like that. And so I think just the communication on that is important, but also at least time blocking that. Like, I know y'all don't have kids, but like
Sure.
time blocking that time or whatever time you need to set apart for X, Y, or Z and say, hey, we're about to test this year. We're going to go away for a weekend and we're going to leave our phones in the hotel room.
Mhm.
And that's going to be,
That's tough.
that's tough for me.
Oh,
I've stopped wearing an Apple Watch for a week now because I want communication to be less to me.
Right.
Like,
Mhm.
I'm probably going to go back, but I'm going to change my settings.
Yeah.
But it's like, how can I limit that? Because if not, it's like, oh, anytime I get a text, I'm going to just respond real fast.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, responding fast is a good
Sure.
thing.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
But it could
24
be
access, 24-hour access. Think about, sometimes I get jealous of like how my parents grew up. If you called,
Yeah.
sometimes there's no voicemail.
There's nobody there. It's
There's
like,
no
hey,
one in the
missed 'em.
kitchen to answer the
Yeah.
phone on the wall. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, man, you never had untethered access to people.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah.
And now that exists.
And it's become the standard. It's like, oh, if they don't respond back in 2 minutes, it's like, oh, what happened? Did they die or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I want to go back to snail mail. Like,
Yeah.
just
I agree. Let's go.
send a letter. But I'm also a caller, and that bothers people.
Yeah.
Right.
Let me just
I'm a
call
caller.
you. It's a guy that I do some work for. He's kind of a social media influencer, whatever you want to call him. And he's partnered with one of my clients. And he's a voice memo guy. And so he's slowly turning me into a voice memo guy.
Way to go.
I can
love
hear
it. It's the
tone.
Way to go.
Yeah.
I can hear everything. I don't have to be like, check
and you
punctuation.
can
I
get
just
back to
talk
it whenever you want.
Exactly. And it's like, hey, no rush on this. But because sometimes a client may say, hey, I need this. But what they're really saying is, hey, can you work on this whenever you get a chance?
Right.
So it's like, oh no, hey, let me get this to the right people.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it's just like, okay, cool. I'll add this to our system and we'll get work done when it needs to get work done. So voice memos have been really helpful in the sense of like I can't always call people, but
Right.
they'll
Sure.
listen to it whenever they want to listen to it. They don't have to talk back. They can text back. I don't care. But they hear my tone and they know I'm not frustrated or.
Someone was making fun of me the other day for being a voice memo guy. Like, I don't do it as much as I like say I am or making it seem like I do, but I did the other day and somebody was like, dude, why? I'm like, but it's the same thing like as texting, but like you said, the tone's the biggest thing most of the time
It's
with
effective.
texting.
Because a lot of times a phone call is like bothersome to somebody. They're
Correct.
like in the middle of something, they're like,
Exactly.
oh, phone call. But it's like a voicemail at their own convenience.
Yeah,
they can get
exactly.
back
As
and-
long as you're like, I'm fine with people being a phone caller, but if you're a phone caller that calls like 2 to 3 times in a row, if I don't pick up, then it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Or you
Yeah.
don't know how to hang up the phone.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's someone that we both have done some work for that we could name doesn't know when to hang up the phone.
Yeah.
And I won't go into more details other than that.
Exactly.
But
Anyways, that's a long tangent on phone calls.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
Yeah.
as you kind of wrap it up, what would you say is like the biggest piece of advice that you could give to somebody? We have a younger audience. That's kind of like our target. Someone that is on this crossroads between business and, kingdom impact and ministry, how they align together. What would you say is like the biggest piece of advice you could give somebody?
Yeah, so there's 2 things. One's going to be more towards kingdom. One's going to be more towards business.
Yep.
You mentioned on earlier, so we might get into it. So I'm just going to blanket statement this.
Okay.
Get into AI.
Yeah.
I can't express that hard enough.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying like build an AI company. Use it as a tool at a minimum. Use it as a friend. Like,
Oh, yeah.
and not as for your community's sake, but like bounce ideas off of it.
Yeah.
Have a conversation with it, and fact check it.
Mhm.
But
It's insane.
I think that people are scared about losing jobs. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, yes, some jobs probably are going to get replaced. Like I don't know if
Yeah.
y'all saw like a couple days ago, Square.
Yep.
They
they laid off a
like
whole
40% of their workforce because of
Yeah.
AI. And it's like,
Mm.
first of all, I think some of that is probably because they can blame it on AI, whether it was like financials or
Right.
not. But also that's like AI, like what they're calling it, like smearing. Basically, it's
Yeah.
like they're just being able to use the AI name. But
Mhm.
also, if you're not using it as a tool, I think you're like not being near as effective as you can.
You're not. Yeah.
I was doing this event
yeah.
for Florida Blue Health Insurance, and
Mhm.
they actually built their own LLM, their own large language model.
Okay.
So they put all of the data in. It can only pull from the data that they're using.
Yeah.
And so they're saying like, hey, if you're not using this software a year from now, you may not have a job because this is helping you. And it's like all the data is true. So verify your data, and they just said we'll build our own database.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And but so use AI, get involved at a very minimum. Like, there's no reason that I'm having to follow up. How many hours did we bill this month? Like, just, hey, give me a report. Like those kinds of things. Like, use it as a tool. Scan your inbox. Have it do summaries, like give suggestions. I never let it send emails for me, but I will like, hey, here's your thought. Here's a thought on this. Like, what do you think? Proofreading. That's another big one we use it for, because there are times like the client sent over copy and we like just copy paste it, and it's like, oh, they were wrong. Or there are times we mistyped it or whatever. And so it's like, hey, just proofread this for me. And it's like, I have it done in 2 seconds versus used to send it to proofreaders. And it would take 24 hours to get back. And so that is a big thing. The second thing I'd say, if you want to have kingdom impact, is just, this is going to sound really stupid, just do it. There's nothing stopping, like you guys went to Africa. Okay. Like, it costs money to get on a plane. Guess what? There's Trinity Rescue Mission downtown in Jacksonville. I guarantee there's a homeless or rescue or like rehab center in almost every city, every major city. Like, just get involved and be consistent. Tithe. That's a big one that I think that a lot of entrepreneurs and even young people just don't grasp the concept of. It's like, well, me and my wife, we always joke. We look back at our tithe and go, man, that 10%, that would have been really nice in our bank accounts this year. And then I think, like, it was never mine to begin with. So why am I going to be stingy over the money that is never mine? And I'm not saying if you tithe, you're going to be blessed. But
Sure.
I cannot tell you, like, that's a touchy subject right now in the podcast world. But I think that, like, remember the day that I had always tithed mostly. And then there were some random jobs I would do that I'd never tithed on. Not because of negligence, to be honest, not because of like, I just wasn't thinking about it or whatever. And there was one day I made like I got convicted, and it was just a random day of the week, actually. And I was like, nope, from here on out, like, I'm giving God the first 10% of everything that comes into my personal accounts. I think business, you can kind of, that's a little different.
It is.
It doesn't mean don't be charitable with your business. Don't do those things. But everything that comes into my personal account, I tithe 10% off. And I literally, the next day, this hit, like, this client came in, and I was like, I don't know if it was coincidence. I think it was a miracle. God, I mean, God works in mysterious ways.
He does.
And I think it's just an important principle. It's like, make sure you honor what God has given you, and you'll forever be.
And I think that's one of the coolest things about business is you can be one client away, one relationship away, one connection away from exponentially growing your business or getting this massive client. You never know, like, what the next 2 days could even look like.
Right.
And
the same is true both ways.
It is.
So it means be smart with your money.
Yep.
Right.
And I truly think that, like, those who are faithful to God, God will take care of them. That does not mean your business is going to last forever. And I know that my business could die tomorrow.
Yeah, sure.
But I was faithful in what God called me to. And I think that includes tithing. And I think there's a lot of argument around, is tithing an actual biblical principle, or is generosity?
Sure,
but we don't give it. I think it's a good guideline to live by. So that's my perspective. And if you are faithful to what God called you to, whether He takes your business away and has you go to a different job or not, He is faithful to provide. And that's the important part.
And that's what we talked about in this podcast too. It's like, we as Christians, we're measured by our faithfulness. When we get up to heaven, and Jesus is like, hey, I don't care how much money you made, all this stuff, but as long as you were faithful with the things that I gave you, that's all that matters.
Yeah, like, so I think a perfect example, and I might cry on this one, but my grandma, she worked here. She probably never made more than $40,000 a year her entire life. And that's not disparaging people who don't make more than $40,000 a year. It's just, she was a small Christian school teacher. Now, I know they're way more competitive now, and it's nothing about that. But in the times when Christian school, but guess what? I know, and this was going to get me. I know when she got to heaven, they said, well done, my good and faithful servant. And I mean, I can't tell you how many people showed up at her funeral. She was my teacher. She was my home ec teacher. She had such an impact. She taught my Bible class. And it's like, sometimes I remember sitting at the funeral, and I was thinking, like, if my business died tomorrow, I don't care. This is the impact that you need to have, whether it's in business, whether it's wherever. It's like, that's what's important. Yeah, exactly. It's like multiplication in that alone as a school teacher. My mom,
Yes.
I can't even tell you how much impact she's probably had on people.
Oh, there's a
And it's
ton.
like my whole family, I've been really like, I've like really thought about that lately. It's like, man, I'm fortunate to have the family that I have. You know, you see other people and you're like, oh, man, that's tough. It's a tough situation to be in. But just to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant, is like,
Yeah.
it was never, you didn't make $100,000 a year, so were you really successful in your time on earth?
Yeah.
It's like, none of that matters. Now I think that
No.
can help you and advance the
It's a
gospel
tool.
even further.
Yeah,
Right.
it's a tool.
But at the end of the day, it's like, I know my grandma. She got there. She saw her husband, whether they were married or not, that's up for debate. But she got up there, and Jesus looked at her and said, "Well done, my good and faithful." And that's the kind of legacy to live and to leave behind. I think that's important. So.
Yeah, and we have such an opportunity to do that in business because of the people you come in contact with on a daily basis, your clients. Like, you're able to show the love of God to all these people.
And remember, life's short.
It is.
I went to a funeral this past Saturday of someone I graduated high school with, 26 years old.
Wow.
It's awful.
Yeah.
I mean, he got married in November, and I cried during the funeral. His wife wrote a letter and was like, I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with you, but you spent the rest of your life with me. And it's just so he's my age, you know, we're not far. We grew up playing T-ball together, and I was thinking, like, that could be me. You know, it was a week before his birthday, so mine would be June. It's like, I could die in June, and I'm going to leave. What am I leaving behind? Am I leaving behind a family who loved me? Or am I leaving behind, like, oh, what are they going to say at my funeral? Like, he loved his family, or are they going to say he loved his business? And that's an important thing to think about as you go through life. So
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I'll leave us with this. So I was in California this past weekend at a conference, and met this guy. He was actually an ex NFL football player, and he works with a bunch of different ministries, sits on boards. What he does that's so inspiring is he has gospel conversations with every person he comes in contact with.
Man, that's tough.
Every person. So he actually has a note on his phone where he'll take a selfie with them after he's had the gospel conversation, like a dictation of, you know, who they are, their family. He's just such a personal, relatable guy. Last year, he had over 1,200 gospel conversations. 1,200. Like, I was so inspired by that.
But he didn't change anything. Like, he wasn't like going out actively searching for them. It was just, all he did was change how he talked to people, which is that's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So it's like, we don't have to change what we're doing. God's not calling us to like maybe go into full-time ministry. He's just saying, hey, bring ministry with you.
Yeah.
Go and bring the gospel to the conversations you have.
It's not hard. It's just, it's a bravery and
it's
simple but not easy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It doesn't cost you any more money.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. So
it may cost you a little bit of time, but what's that in the light of eternity?
Exactly. Yeah, that's good. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah,
it was fun.
This is awesome. How can people find you, your business?
So elmocreativeco.com is our website. We're rebranding, so there's not much on there right now, but got a few new businesses in the works. Working on a few new things to diversify and build it up a little stronger across the bigger spectrum. Follow me on Instagram, I guess. You know, you can message me on there. I always talk to people. It's Trent_Warren. Pretty easy. Luckily, I got my actual name and not like had to add all these crazy numbers and things like that. So early adopter, I guess. But
that's right.
Yeah, just check me out there. I'd love to just connect with anybody, whether you need work done or, you know, want to just figure things out.
Yeah, it's awesome. Thanks, Trent. This was awesome.